My name is Karen Brady. I'm a classroom teacher. I teach kindergarten at a little teeny tiny school called Warren School. It's in Northwest Connecticut, and it's part of a fabulous district called Regional School District 6. Yay! There's a lot of them here. There's a lot of them here. We bust them in. We are a very small district, but we're very mighty, and we're very lucky to have a wonderful superintendent. Did he? He's here. Oh. He got his up. Who brings a group of us down here every year so that we can learn and go back home and implement it the Monday after we get back in our classrooms. So it's wonderful. And my co-presenter is Amy Kennedy.
Yes. I am the instructional technologist for our region. I work in the 3 elementary schools that comprise Region 6. And one of my main roles is to help the teachers in our district integrate technology effectively. So I get to work with Karen and all the other teachers in our great district. And we're very excited to be here today and share with you this story of integrating iPads into the kindergarten classroom, and just to talk a little bit about Region 6 and our commitment to technology and making sure our students are engaging in authentic learning experiences and are getting all of those 21st century skills. And you can see our core values up there that our region has embraced and embodied with the things that we do.
We also, our friend Fred in the back there asked us to stay over in this area because they're videotaping, so I'm sorry. We wanted to be a little closer to the screen, but that's why we have a little remote control.
So if you haven't done so already, this is a QR code that if you're not familiar with, you can get a scanner on your smartphone or tablet, and it will give you a link to a Google Doc that has a link to this presentation as well as some other resources and our contact information. Please contact us. Our Twitter accounts are on there, email, any questions you have. We would love to hear from all of you. And let me know if you have any trouble getting that information. We'll make sure by the time you leave you have that.
And the first link on it is the entire presentation. So if you wanted to share it, we're all about sharing and collaboration. So if you have colleagues you want to share it with, please do. All right. Okay, last year we came down to FETC. It was my first trip down here, and I was completely overwhelmed by all of the phenomenal information and all of the fun swag that you get and you bring back. And the year before that, I was given an iPad to use in my classroom, and I used it very well, but my students didn't. I really kept it for my own use, other than taking pictures and video of the children when they were working. And it really inspired me seeing all the different uses and all the different things that you could do with your students in the classroom. And we were in Denny's across the street eating lunch, talking about all of the wonderful things you could do, you could go back home and do, collaborating with our colleagues that came. And so we went home and we did it. The story we're about to tell is our journey, and if there's any advice I could tell you, it's just jump right in. And whether you have 1 iPad or 2 iPads or a class set of iPads, it doesn't matter. We did all of this with 1, and then halfway through the year we got a second one in the classroom. So put it in their hands, and you'll be amazed at what they'll do.
And like Karen said, it is good to get familiar with the device yourself too. So give yourself time, give yourself credit for doing that, Karen, because that's really important that you build that fluency so that when you are working with your students, you have the confidence as well. We have just a whole bunch of slides of helpful hints, things that when we went back on day 2, I realized you can't use an iPad if it's not charged. I mean, it sounds very silly and simple, but with kindergartners, when you're trying to do a guided reading group or work with a small group of mathematicians, and you're hearing, my iPad died, or I can't get onto this, or I can't get onto that, you realize you have to backtrack just a little bit and get a little more organized. And what I did was I just went around our school and took different pictures. There's some wonderful, wonderful products available downstairs that you can get. Charging stations, charging rolling boxes and things, but we have some fabulous teachers that have just improvised. One of them used a dish drain and set up all the iPads and attached a charger cord to it. Another one used one of the standing folder metal frames that you would put
lesson plans in or sort papers in. And if you click on the, or can I not do it here? In the presentation, it's linked to, do I have to click more than once? There you go. Link to our Pinterest account. Every time I find a new idea or something that you can use in the classroom, there are tons and tons of different ways that teachers have book cubbies. They've turned into iPad charging stations by drilling a hole in the back. Numbering the iPads. I haven't done that in particular because I only have a handful, but using an empty filing cabinet, and you can use the bottom drawer, put your charging strip right inside of it, and you're good to go. Book baskets teachers have used before. I loved the drilling the holes in the back of the drawers and labeling so that the students know. The biggest thing that I tried to do, and it was amazed at how quickly it happened, was put the responsibility of the usage and the care in the children's hands. Because if they take care of them, they'll make sure that they get charged. They'll make sure that they get put back in the right place because they want to use it. And they don't want to get flack from their friends who go to use it and it's not charged. So there are some wonderful links on there if you want to see some more pictures of how to do that.
Did it. Good
there
job.
We go.
Training right on the job.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different laptop I'm not used to. Another very important thing that I learned very early was to set clear expectations. Just like you make your classroom chart of rules on the very first day of school, on the very first day that you hand out an iPad, you sit down with them and together you come up with the rules that they think they come up with, but you guide so that they're exactly what you want them to be. And it's very simple. I stuck with 5 for my little friends just because it's all on one hand. I can give them a high five and ask them, did you remember to do all the things you needed to do? And there are tons and tons of wonderful charts out there, again, linked on that Pinterest account that gives from probably pre-K all the way up, everything from make sure your hands are clean to make sure you're on the right app and doing the actual job you're supposed to be doing. This is a picture of our charging station actually in my classroom, and one of the things we found out was partway through our year, back on the windowsill, it was the only outlet. I had all the plugs in, and one of our charging cords wasn't working properly, and one of the students went to use the iPad the next morning to go on to Lexia, a program that my students use, and the charger hadn't charged overnight, and so he stood by the window with it plugged in trying to do his job, and the students actually said, well, what if we could figure out a way to create a charging station near a table, so if that happened again we could sit and work while we do that. So they on their own went down to Mr. Scott, our facilities janitor, and asked if they had a power strip, and brought it back, and we moved the whole charging station over and put it underneath our iPad rules, and now that's a place to work as well. But troubleshooting is an important thing, and like I said, by having them be part of it, it's more authentic.
And also, I was just going to tell that little story about when I came into your classroom recently. When I'm coaching teachers with technology, it's done in different capacities. So sometimes I'm often in certain teachers' classrooms modeling lessons or co-teaching and things like that. And oftentimes with Karen, it's sort of more of collaboration through Google Docs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I did have the chance to go into her classroom recently, and I was so impressed with her kindergartners because they were using this equipment so naturally. It was just a part of what they do. It didn't interrupt learning. I know sometimes with little ones, we sometimes think that learning new technology and using devices can actually be more of a distraction than an interruption. And taking the time to set the clear expectations early on and work with them sets them up for success.
It really does, and they're all using them at home. They're all using them in the grocery store. They're on their parents' phone. They're in the car with them. So they know more than I did when I started with it. And they also know very easily how to plug and unplug the chargers. After doing it and forgetting to doing it and driving back to school to charge them in so they're ready the next day, we made the STAR student. We have a STAR student every day who's in charge of calendar and the line leader, and their job at the end of the day is to plug in all the iPads and make sure it's done. And let me tell you, it really only takes once of it not being done and all of his friends getting on his back about now we can't use the iPads because you didn't charge them, and it never happens again. So just take one little thing off your plate because you have got enough on your plate. When I first started using them in the classroom, and I know that colleagues did as well, it's difficult to plan for at first until you get comfortable using them. And when you do get comfortable, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to plan thoughtfully for your iPad usage, just like when you curl up on a Sunday night or Thursday night, whenever you do your plans, and you're working through your reader's workshop and your writer's workshop and your math workshop. An iPad is a tool, so just like you would think about what manipulatives you would need to use, think about how you would use that iPad. It's not just to be put out there as a filler. Click on an app, oh good, there's 3 kids that I don't have to worry about, I can go over here. Really take your time, and you can use it. We use it in literacy stations. We use it in math stations. During writer's workshop, we have little word walls that they can use right on the iPads. We use it during our learning centers and our independent reading. They do book reviews and all sorts of things that they can do with it. It's just a matter of taking those 10 extra minutes to really plan it out and be thoughtful in that planning. We also use it with our classroom blog. We have a kinder blog that the kids upload every day pictures to that are taken with the iPad. So they're very independent with it, I would say.
Yeah, and I think you've made great points about that thoughtful planning. And from my standpoint as an instructional technologist, that's what I'm pushing a lot in our district, is to make sure that the apps that we're choosing are developmentally appropriate and that align to our curriculum and things like that. And so just taking that time to make sure that what you're giving them to do is going to be meaningful to help them reach those learning outcomes, and like you said, not just be that filler or babysitter.
Organization. I'm really organized. If I'm really organized at school, home's not so organized. And if I'm really organized at home, school's not so organized. So this year was my school year. We have on our screens, on our iPads, I saw one of the neat ideas I just saw the other day was putting the numbers on the front so the students always know which iPad to grab. I have a small class and we have 3 iPads now. So they can grab any of them. And it was interesting because they just realized about a month ago, I was telling me the story that they could take any iPad and log on to either an app or to go onto Lexia or to go something, and it didn't matter. They just, the light bulb went off that they're connected to a bigger world, and they're not just on the iPad itself. It goes further out. So on all 3 of them, the last screen is their screen. So they just swipe, they go to the picture that's our class, and there's folders all set up. There's a math folder, there's a language arts folder, there's the Lexia icon there, there's the star icon there, there's the Educreations that we use for a lot. It's like the whiteboard app for writing their names. And then when you click in, the folders are all organized. And very rarely do they move them around. Sometimes they'll get shuffled, but it's comfort. If you can get them comfortable with a piece of equipment, then they'll use it and they'll share with their friends and they'll collaborate more with it. Also, if you have any special needs students in your class, this year I have 2 students with some heavy special needs. They have their own folder, block capped, that they can find because they can read their name, they can go in and then they find the right games. They can also click out of it very easily and go to where they're not supposed to. But it makes it easier if you're organized, and then the students know exactly where to go. Just like with the routines you have in your classroom, set up routines for your iPads as well.
So it's not, Mrs. Brady, where's that app on there? They know exactly where it is, which is what I saw when I was in there. So one of the other things we want to talk about today is collaboration and the many ways that you can collaborate. And I think that making this work, you have to use all your resources, and if you don't have a technology specialist, you have your other teachers that are in your building that you can work with, and even students and parents can also be collaborators, and anybody you meet here could be a collaborator too if you make connections outside of your district. So just to talk a little bit about the ways that we've collaborated. So one of the things that I do as the instructional technologist is I could help with the troubleshooting. So if you have a technology specialist, you're just getting started, they would be a great go-to person for that troubleshooting aspect, and also the lesson design aspect, because teaching with technology means that style of teaching also has to change a bit. So it's not that stand and deliver anymore, so you need some techniques on how to make more project-based learning happen, or using literacy centers or workshop model as well. So if you don't have a technology specialist, you certainly can be collaborating with your instructional specialist as well, and
your content area
specialist. And it doesn't have to take all of your time. I think Karen and I, our collaboration is literally walking past each other in the hallway and saying, oh, I saw this app, I really, and we just share that way really quick, and then she tries it, we email back and forth, or we use Google Docs.
And at our school, it's the lunch table. We're lucky enough that all of the grade level teachers can eat lunch together, and that's the time to, oh, I found this really cool app. Those are the tried and true ones, the ones that people that are in the classroom, on the front, have used, and that it's a valuable resource. Or if they've got children, I've got 3 at home, ones that I know that I work with my own children at home, that familiarity with it and just learning the ropes is definitely.
Yep. So utilizing your content specialist just to make sure they would be the ones to go to make sure that the apps that you choose are related to the curriculum standards and are going to help students to meet learning goals, so they could help in that capacity, and as well as the students giving you feedback, so that if the app had pop-up ads or things that you didn't expect, they could give you that feedback and you can use that to make decisions in the future, as well as parents can offer that support as well. And they love to hear what apps the kids are doing in the class, so they could do it at home. And then also just making sure that we work smarter, not harder. I know that we hear that a lot. That's a kind of catchphrase going on, but I think if we think about collaboration not as having to be that 45-minute planning time block to meet with somebody, if it could be more virtual or just on the fly, that counts a lot, and it works for a bit busy kindergarten teachers and primary teachers. Anything else on there?
One of the things that I found not recently, but I didn't realize I was doing, and I didn't realize I was doing it, and I heard it next door in our first grade teacher's classroom as well, and she didn't even realize she was doing it, was when you are using an iPad or any technological tool, really using that think aloud strategy with your students, just as you were doing a close reading activity, or if you were doing a big book strategy and you're stuck on a word and you're modeling how to solve a problem, do that with your children with the iPad. If you open up the iPad and you're going to find the app, use the language that you would be using, home screen, all the different terms that you would use, so that there's a common vocabulary that your students can use. So when they come over and say, well, I clicked on the home screen button and it wouldn't go back, you know exactly what they're talking about. And it's pretty amazing, because as soon as, and I'm sure if you're in a primary classroom, as so many of you raised your hand, they will model you, they want to be you. They act like you, you'll hear your voice coming out of their mouth. So if you use that language, they'll use that language. And it also, one of the really important things, and I meant to say it before, along with the think alouds, is having them be the actual ones touching the iPad. A friend of mine, dear friend, that was a mentor of mine years ago, told me that whenever you walk up to a student at a computer or an iPad or a smartboard, put your hands in your pockets, because you're so tempted to reach down and press the things for them. Instead, use your words, tell them how to do it, or show them and then have them go back and redo it. And it's amazing how quickly they pick it up.
Yeah, and this strategy works not just for iPads, but for obviously any instructional type of thing. But I was a first grade teacher for 7 years before I was an instructional technologist, and one day I was absent. I had a sub in my room, and I used our smartboard all the time, and the computer accidentally shut down, and the sub had no idea how to get my lesson plans back up, and when I came in the next day, she was telling me the story, and she said, well, I didn't actually have a problem because your students told me what to do. They said, double click on the, so they went through the whole process and actually found my folder that had the math lesson plan in it. Because oftentimes I would just, instead of having it up and ready, I would use that teachable moment and just to show them how to navigate the smartboard and the computer. So it really does work.
They're very quick at telling them what they're not doing.
Right.
That's your normal plans, but they're also very quick at helping out.
So troubleshooting with your students, it sort of touches upon what we were just saying, but sometimes when things go wrong, especially if we're just getting started, we kind of get into that panic mode, and we're telling you try not to panic, and don't rush to that plan B. See if you can actually talk it out with a student, and this will promote their problem solving and their perseverance, and you're modeling those skills as well. So you could start with that and just model it with the students. There's a great resource, I'm not sure if you're familiar, it's called Common Sense Education. And if you're looking for resources to get you started with digital citizenship or some of these technology operations for young kids, they have a great curriculum here for you. So when it is important when you introduce devices that are on the internet that you do touch upon internet safety and that you're starting those skills right away. So this is a good place if you're just getting started. Lessons already done. They're all very well done. You can modify them to meet your needs as well. So I just wanted to share that with you. And it's a great resource for parents as well. Just handy things on there. So I don't know did anybody see Kathy Schrock? She was presenting here, and she's an awesome educational technologist, and I've heard about her from coming to FETC a few years ago, and she has some great resources for helping with evaluating apps. So we talked a little bit about making sure the apps that you're choosing are developmentally appropriate and things like that, and there are tools out there that can help you. So her site is amazing. She's got tons of things. She's got a guide to everything, but she does have an iPad for teaching site. First step is definitely to evaluate the app, and you can use rubrics to do that are That's right. I think if you just click here. So there are rubrics such as this one that will help you look at the app through that lens of really critically evaluating it, so that you know that you're going to get what you need out of that app. And if it passes your rubric test, then you know that might be one that you want to go ahead and use with your students. So you're looking for things such as, like if it's a free app, we all know, there was a session I saw a title with if it's free, there's a reason, or something like that. And it's true, free apps are amazing, but you also have to think about the pop-up ads that might come up, or the add-on purchases and things like that. So this touches upon that as well. And it's asking you to look closely, does the app help with differentiation? Is it authentic? Is it giving the kids immediate feedback? So these are really good things to kind of think about as you're deciding if an app is going to be part of your classroom. Another good thing to do is once you decide to do the app, and you should try and test it. I do a little bit of a field test with it, so that, sorry.
Is that what you were doing?
No, this is another great checklist. Instead of a rubric, it's the same thing, but it's a checklist as well. And then again, the same sort of things you're looking for to evaluate. But if you field test the app with your students, a few of them, then you can get their feedback. And then from there, you kind of can do a full out rollout. I think it's just really good practice just to get into that, so that you know that what you're doing is going to work. So Apple has a great resource as well called Apps in the Classroom. And again, here are some questions that you may want to ask yourself when you're deciding on implementing iPad apps. So what's the level of engagement that this app offers? And is it going to be developmentally appropriate for those kids? How is the app designed? Is it designed in a way that's easy to navigate, that's easy for the kids to learn? And if you're thinking about students with different needs, are there accessibility options for that student? And then also, how motivating is this to have the child learn? So again, there's some great resources on Common Sense Media to help you with this as well. And also Kindertown is just an actual app that evaluates apps for you, or they have reviews, so that's a great resource as well. And then that little poster, if you want to click on that, this kind of goes back to when we were talking about setting your expectations. So this is like one of the resources that's available on Common Sense Education, and so this would be a good little poster to get started. And I guess the point is that you don't have to start from scratch and make your own resources. Investigate what's out there that's going to work for you.
All right. Now that you're all organized and you're all ready and your iPads are charged and your kids have the rules down set, we kind of went through our year and chose our top 5 apps or programs on the iPad that we used. They were all free, that we got the most bang for our buck out of with the kids in the classroom. And the very first one was the very first thing I did, is I handed the iPad over to the kids and simply showed them how to use the camera app that's already in on your iPad and the video app. You will be amazed seeing the world through their lens. And it's a wonderful tool. This is a picture of one of my little students who is working on a math station. For closure of a math lesson, have them take their own pictures, and then when you come back together, they can actually hold up the picture and share their thinking, and use the math language that you were talking about from the get-go with them. They can use the video app if they were, when we do measuring lessons, and they'll show each other how they measured things, and then you can come right back and it's perfect closure, and they are the stars. It also is wonderful now. You're so busy, you're trying to do 10 different things in a K-1-2 classroom. Give one of your students the iPad, have them take the pictures and walk around, and before you go off and you've done your mini lesson and they know exactly what their job is for the day, have them find students that are doing that. Have them find the exemplars to come back together. You'd be so surprised, as soon as that student takes one picture, every single child in the room is suddenly doing what they're supposed to be doing because they want their picture taken. And then they can come back and share and evaluate each other and reflect on their learning. It's such a higher level skill, but they can do it. We also use that camera and video for retellings. They are just starting to retell in kindergarten. And now they love to hear themselves talk. They love to see themselves on video. So they videotape each other doing a retelling, making sure that they've used the words first, next, then, and last, or whatever keywords you're using with them. They do book reviews to recommend a book for a friend using the word because and evidence from the story. There's so many different ways to use it, and it's not an app. It doesn't need to be vetted. It's nothing. You just can put it in their hands and let them do it. We have a Kinder blog, like I had mentioned, that we upload pictures and a little tidbit to every day. And now probably 90% of the pictures that we upload are pictures that the students have taken themselves. And our website is through Weebly, and now there's a Weebly app on the phone, on the iPad, and you click it, and Amy gave me the courage to teach them how to do it. And they can upload the pictures right to Weebly, and then they're good to go. Oftentimes when we're closing a lesson, a student will say, oh, can we put this on our Kinder blog today? Can I share this with my mom or my dad? And go right ahead. And if you do it right then and there in the moment, it's done. What does that mean? It's done, and you don't have to worry about it. When you drop your kids off at a special, the last thing you want to do is come back and do work uploading things on an iPad. It's done in there, and they've done the work for you, which is fabulous. So the camera and the video. You got it? You're back together again? Okay. I don't know how many of you know about Animoto. Animoto is my favorite thing in the whole entire world. It's free for educators, and they just...
if you sign up with an educator code, you get the videos that you can make with Animoto. It's a video creation tool, are usually 30 seconds with the free account, but if you're an educator, you get 50 seconds or you know, and
you can make it a little bit longer. They're phenomenal. All you have to do is get 10, 12 pictures throughout your lesson that a student has taken or you have taken modeling. You go to the Animoto app, it automatically uploads the pictures. You pick the music, you throw in the title or the text, and instantly you have
closure, or you have your mini lesson for the next day. We've used it for parent communication. We've put them on our classroom blog, and these are all linked to different examples. Is there one that you, in particular, you would want to? Classroom blog, maybe. I don't know what that one is. Let's see. Matman. So this was something that we put on our blog one day. We brought Matman in. How many of you use handwriting without tears or know of Matman? Well, Matman is a superstar in my classroom. And
oh, you know what? Because hold your mic up.
What do I do? Sorry. How do I make the music? Okay. Hold on one second. I apologize. There we go.
It might not be loud. I didn't realize we didn't really think about it.
Can you hear it? And then we went outside and they pretended to be Matman. He wasn't appreciating that so much. They made me Matman. $30 long, and you can upload it, and then the next day that was our mini lesson again for Writer's Workshop, and they could watch it over and over and over again. Let me just click on this one. They also, we've done it for mini lessons, and just by taking pictures and putting them up with your bullets that you want to accomplish for the day, or for closure. This was one that I gave the iPad to a student, and they walked around the room taking pictures of partner work, partners that were doing a good job together, and then just quickly threw in a text at the end. And it literally takes about 3 minutes to make one. He chose the music, not me. Okay. But again, it's just those pictures of the students doing the work that they're supposed to be doing and modeling for others. Escape that one quickly. Ooh. Where is it? Here we go. Thank you for your patience with this. You can also use it for informational text. I can just show you quickly. One of my students, they can go online. We're using, during Writer's Workshop right now, we're doing informational text and how-to books and all about books. And they can quickly go online to Google or to any of the sites that you would like them to. They know exactly how to save a picture to the to your camera, and then they can put it together. And this was my Ruby. Last year she made, we live in a rural area, an all about book about cows. And she read me her text, we typed it in, and the parents loved that. With the younger grades, they need a little bit more guidance, which picture should go where, but as you get up K1, 2, 3, they can do it all on their own. It's very simple to navigate and simple to use, and like I said, it's a big bang for
for your buck. We're running it if you want to run to the next one really, really fast. This is my class's all-time favorite, Tellagami. I don't know if anybody has used Tellagami. It's a free app that is wonderful. You can create a 30-second video, I think they give you time for, and the students create an avatar of themselves, and which they do all the time in their video games anyway, so just creating their avatar was enough for them. And then they pick a background picture and they can narrate their stories. The one thing I haven't gotten good at though, you can hear the page flipping in it, but it's very simple to use. You can sit one-on-one during writer's workshop with a student. I had them create the avatar, we showed them how to do it, and then I only needed to go over to them when they needed to record their voice. And this is my Tyler, he did a how-to book on how to have a party.
How to get ready for a party by Tyler. Step 1. Put up the decorations. Step 2. Make the cake. Step 3. Get the presents. Step 4. Happy birthday. Yay!
So it's very simple, and then all we did was you save it right to your iPad, and we put all 16 of them together into an iMovie and uploaded it to the website, and then the parents got to listen to all of the videos. So again, it was a great way for a writer's workshop celebration. You know, there are times where you want them to bring in their special stuffed friend, and they can sit and read their story to them, and then there are other times when you can do something with technology with them. It's all about finding that balance because, as you know, kindergarten is about balance. And we're running out of time quick though, but number 2, I don't know if any of you use Toto Math. This is a content app. Yes. Amy just taught me that today, not a creation app. It is fabulous. It's free. You can log your students in, or they can just go on and play as they choose. It's really great, probably lower primary. You can use it in your math workshops and stations. I have some friends that are still struggling with one-to-one counting, and there are several different activities on it for that where they actually physically pop the balloons as they move along and count. Number formation, for your friends that have difficulty doing those numbers, they can pull down the actual number and put that answer in. Addition, subtraction, I use it to reinforce for my friends that need that extra small group. Sometimes you can just call them over quick and play a game with them, and sometimes just seeing it a different way and not hearing my voice will help them get it a little better. It's also great for enrichment when a student is finished, maybe completed with the work, or needs a little bit extra. You can go on and put them on a higher level to work on. And the last one we wanted to share with you quickly was what we made last year. We made a book, an iBook called If You Give a Kindergartner an iPad. Every year, I'm sure you know your students attached to different books. This year it's Llama Llama. Last year it was If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, you know, a moose a muffin and pig a pancake. And so we made a classroom iBook all about what we did all year with the iPads, because the parents wanted to know. And you can use Book Creator. We used several different Book Creator apps until we found this one. And the reason we loved it so much was because they can narrate it, and you can actually hear their voices, and it's so much more powerful that way. Older kids, we were talking about earlier, if you're up to 2nd, 3rd grade, they can create their own books. We did it as a class book, but you could use it for student publishing. You could do it for mini lessons, or if you're starting a unit, you can make a book with the content Amy was saying earlier.
Yeah. We're thinking for older students, you can actually, you know, front load them a bit with the new content, so you can make a book for them, and then they could read it, and so when it comes time to talk about that new unit, they have some background knowledge that maybe they didn't have. If
you have friends that need a little bit more background knowledge, or if you can put it in your makerspace, and they can create an iBook all on their own, and then they can share it and show everybody what they did. If you click on the mouse, I don't know if we want to do it now, I'm not sure what time it is, it takes you to a link to the actual iBook. We can just show you the very beginning. It's
and if you don't know about safeshare.tv with the little ones, if you have anything on YouTube, you want to get rid of those ads, this would be a good tool.
sorry I interrupted you, Amy. SafeShare is really wonderful. I don't know if you use it with your kids. We do a word of the day every morning during our morning meeting. From Sesame Street, I had a group this year that their background language was just not as rich as we wanted it to be. And so every morning I take one of the Sesame Street podcasts with their word of the day and we put it into a SafeShare, and then it comes right up linked, and you don't have all the YouTube ads. You want them focused on what Elmo was telling them, not on the advertisements on the side, and it's wonderful. But this is...
A kindergartner an iPad by Mrs. Brady's class. If you give a kindergartner an iPad, they will want to use the app Book Creator to share their story. If they share their story, they will want to show you how to log in and play Lexia. If they show you how to play Lexia, they'll want to...
I don't know if anybody knows of Wet Dry Try. It's a wonderful app for handwriting. And it goes on. This is some of the pictures that we've done before.
They will use the camera.
You can, if you've got the QR code, it can link you right to the iBook to share. And then, go ahead. All right, so we're so happy that you came. The time went by so very, very fast. I have so much more to share. I'm so sorry. But what happens if you give a kindergarten an iPad? They are instantly engaged, instantly, because that's their life right now. The technology is everywhere, and they can self-direct their learning. It also goes right back to our core values and the 21st century skills of collaboration and communication and all of that good stuff.
Please go out and enjoy these.
Now go out in the sunshine.